This is Mr. X, and this is my end of week for EU and GU from June 22nd through June 26th, 2026. And I'm going to go through the monthly, weekly, and daily on both, switching back and forth. And then I will go through all potential trades on the 4-hour, 15-minute, and 1-minute on GU, and then switch to EU, and I'll bar replay through all of that. So here we go. On GU, we have monthly demand and control, but monthly EOF, looking for a lower low eventually. This order flow can hold to take out the rest of this IRL, but it's definitely not needed. Price doesn't have to take all of it because this is the counter trend move. So we'll see how the weekly and EU might give us more clues on what's going on. So EU on the monthly. EU is a little different because we're in this yearly flip zone. We have taken all the IRL here, and we've mitigated that monthly flip within the yearly. We have broken once, held the extreme, and then broken again this past week. So it's looking like for the next few, possibly years, we will be heading towards this. We are in the last few days, so it could pull up, create a wick, and then could completely go the other way, but we'll have more clues on the lower time frame. So going to the weekly for GU, our previous structure was this right here, and we got a strong high, came up, another strong high. We wick the high here, so this strong high held, and now we're looking for that lower low down here. Price could still respect this. It's not broken yet, but we'll continue to look for clues on the weekly and the daily to see what's going on. We do have a new weekly zone built. There's a weekly flip zone. This one flipped, and then we also flipped again off of that one. So if price does come back up, I wouldn't run a long through here at all, expecting this to push down. So going to the weekly on EU. This one's interesting because our structure's different. So we had this structure here. Actually, I had that right the first time. Just going to get rid of that. So if we're looking at structure, we have this, we pull back. We don't make a new body break here, so that's not a pullback. So this is just one leg here. We don't break anything on the downside, and then we break with a candle here, body. So this is a strong low. Weak high. So just based on this time frame, well, and then we switched over. Now that's a strong high because you see right here we broke with a body right in here. So it's not clearly defined on what we're doing, but we're just going to follow this pretty large weekly supply chain. Now price could come right back up here and keep selling off, or we could take this all as IRL and then sell off. So there's quite a few options. We'll focus on lower time frames to give us clues on what the weekly is doing. Now here on GU on the daily, really not much to say this week. We pull back price. And this was the end of last week right here. So all we really had was we took out the rest of this liquidity right there. So we have this last point of supply, and then we have the weekly flip zone. So we're looking for price to, if it was on this time frame, come up to here and then continue down, because we are still building this monthly / weekly leg out on the daily legs. Now on EU, on Friday we did come back up to this last point of supply. Again, it's the last point before this liquidity being taken. So if this is going to be like a void fill, there's no more IRL to target, we could target that low, and it'll depend on what this zone does. If price blows through it, switches back, now it's clear that we might be going higher. But where it stands right now, I'm expecting this zone to hold, to pull down. So that was the higher time frame. We're still completely bearish on the higher time frame. We need massive moves to develop to change that longer term higher time frame bias. So we would need to break significant zones here. Most likely we would have to break this zone to really say we're going to be going bullish for weeks and months. And that's the same with GU. We might break this little zone here, but getting through this one's the tough one. So that was the higher time frame. Now we'll go each session on the 4 hour, 15 minute, and 1 minute, starting from my session time, which is 8 a.m. on Monday. Just right around right there. On the 4 hour, it's a little, yeah, we did get this break at 6 a.m. So technically we do have demand and control. And this leg could be seen in two different ways. It's not really clear 4 hour pullbacks. Like this is a pullback. These are very small pullbacks. So this could be nearly just one leg here. And if that's, no, that one's a significant pullback, so we're going to keep that. But it's an AOI, so price could respect it. We don't know yet what's going to happen. Because it didn't make structure. Like this is a structure, so that's a structure. So we've already broken through one structure, making this a stronger low. And now we have order flow. So expecting this to hold, it probably won't hold. I'm going down to the 15 minute. We had broken through this AOI failed to do anything. We've already broken through it. So we could look for some longs or just sit on our hands and wait for this to break. It breaks, we create a flip zone. We're not quite at this daily last point of supply yet. So if it did come down from here, we could trade higher. There'd be no targets. So for me, there's really no trades. I would be switching back to shorts right now, coming off this daily last point of supply. We did break Friday's high of day, so it's a bullish day, but it's still a possibility. Now we have a flip zone here, which isn't the best flip zone. There's no pivot. It didn't break anything yet. All it did was react and break the reaction point. There's no other breaks. that price, that gets swept right here, and price sells off. It could be said that this is just, if all 1 minute price action, whether this is a zone or even the extreme could be a zone. Either way, we cannot use this liquidity as 1 minute liquidity, and this isn't a structure, so I can't do much there. And there's no clear-cut zone. We're just in an extreme area, and this extreme didn't do anything yet. So not good trading conditions. We're going to move ahead to Tuesday. So here's Tuesday, 8 a.m. We're looking at just an overnight strong chain here. And if we're going back on the 4-hour, I have that as my main zone that I expect to hold. That happens much later in the week. So I expect this daily zone to hold and produce a lower price. So even though demand's in control in the 4-hour, I'm marking this as a CPB because I expect this to overpower it. Knowing that we do get the reaction, extreme, another reaction, another break, it was looking pretty clear that this zone's not going to hold. So trading this chain towards some remaining IRL, even this low, would be a great trade. So we have this chain right here, pretty much right at my session open. I would be down on the 1 minute looking for liquidity, looking for one confirmation entry. So we don't get any liquidity in here. That's not liquidity. We do get this little pivot here, liquidity taken, and now we get price to go down, up, down, up, down, react, and then break. And as soon as it breaks this reaction point here, that's the trade. Because we're already pro trend, pro 15 minute. So that's the entry right there. And this one, I think, ended as a break even. Yeah, that would have taken me out pretty easily. Especially because it went almost over 2.5 hours. So that was that trade possibility. And then price just doesn't give another entry after that. It does take this liquidity, but it breaks here. So we don't get a flip zone. And then even if we had the flip zone, price didn't want to come back up to it for the entry. And price sold off pretty quick. And then liquidity POI, waiting on that. Because price mitigated, came down, pivoted, and then broke with a body right there, making this structural liquidity. Price sold off pretty strongly for the rest of the day, so that was Tuesday. One break-even trade. Not too much else. Coming into Wednesday. Wednesday was an important day. We've broken through this weekly zone. So that was the weekly leg. And we've broken low. So we need different parameters. We have to reset because we've taken out this higher time frame zone. Just like when we took out this liquidity here, we came up to the daily last point of supply. So that's just something to be aware of. Yeah, we can just completely sell off on the 4-hour and 15-minute for months. But I do want to have some kind of target in mind. So ideally, after that's broken, I want some kind of leg and then 15 minutes to target and take out the rest and the low to give it some, some confirmed direction. So we do break that low, and now we've had this daily last point of supply formed. So even longs, we don't want to long into this. We're expecting shorts, more shorts from this daily zone. And as my note says, yeah, this zone is huge and doesn't really help us on the lower time frame looking for where price might turn from. So we can go back on the 4 hour and see what's going on. So I have we got this 4 hour extreme, we have this 4 hour window of imbalance. So that's the extreme zone for me. So going back to this price action, it's not there, nothing's there. There's no targets. You could target this, you could target this, but price could come back up to the higher time frame, then go. So this is what I want. So I wrote down no target. So no trades on Wednesday. So we're just going to fast forward to Thursday. Thursday was unique because we were coming into this, we're just stuck in this 4 hour last point of supply. So I don't want to take any longs in here. There's really nothing to take. I'll target things underneath it. Nothing really inside it. And so we bounce around for a while and we get this void fill. So we took out all the IRL. We did come down to this unmitigated zone, but for me, this is a 4 hour move. We have taken out, and this is a strong high. That's low. That turns into a strong low. Really at this point, we get another strong low. So this is breaking through structure. So when that happens, I switched back to 4 hour price action. So 4 hour move. If this gives a great setup, I will trade this because of the amount of imbalances in here and not really clear zones. I try to get definitely break even or profit out by that zone. That's the only good zone in there. We have all these windows of imbalance in here. And then order flow is unconfirmed. It's not like supply is in control where I could start targeting more. And price quickly says, okay, we're just going to keep going up. It had nowhere left to target other than this low, but supply wasn't in control. So this whole move here was a liquidity grab. So Thursday we did create, there's no POIs. Like this missed the flip, so that's not a flip zone. Not really a chain yet, because that would be the floor. And this would kind of be the chain if it broke. It does break. By then the day is pretty much over. And price looks like it's floating down in Asia. So we go to Friday. Friday is interesting because we do have somewhat of a demand chain. Really, no, I wouldn't say that's a demand chain, but we do have this flip zone here. Price comes in, mitigates, breaks, and we have this extreme zone here. And we haven't quite reached a target up here. we have no more IRL. Well, this IRL, which is below the window of imbalance. So that could be a target on the 15. But that's also interpretable because I don't like to target this is the leg we're talking about here. And we do have this structure here, so that's a 4-hour, that's a daily leg with 4-hour structure, so I would not trade 15-minute stuff in there. So right now, no really targets on the longs. We come down sharply. We come up and then we hit this window of imbalance, and we sell off very, very fast. You see on the 4-hour what it looks like. That's the window drawn in there, which is basically the extreme. We hit it, and we break the last point of demand on the 4-hour. And so we create this extreme zone. We would want double confirmation because we're anticipating more targets. We've already mitigated this zone. We've come up, we've broken the 4-hour, so we're pretty clear and free from this. I would turn this into more of a CPB at this point. And let's pull back price here. Once we come up and mitigate this extreme, we get this liquidity grab here. Price shoots down, we get the floor. We get this reaction here, and then the break of the whole zone, and price just comes right back into it, and it's profit. That's pretty clear cut, straightforward. 4-hour area, break, 15-minute zone, 1-minute liquidity, and double confirmation. It's like the perfect trade. Well, I'd say it's probably a B tier trade because we don't have confirmed. Once this breaks, if that holds, now we're confirmed, okay, we're going through this, we're going through that, and we could trade freely down. So that was the week on GU. So one break even, one 3-hour winner. So it's a generally a slow week on GU. Now moving on to EU, let's pull back price to Monday. Let's go back on the daily just for a quick reminder of where we're at. Friday did pull back into the last point of supply, so we're trading away from that. We're already seeing some follow through. On the 4-hour before my session, let's pull this away here. We can see we mitigate here, we quickly take out some IRL, we hold, and we take out more. So now all we know is we're going towards all these little pieces here and possibly this low. Plus, we have this weekly low that we want to take out eventually as well. So targeting is perfect environment for some shorts. So coming into my session, we built this chain up overnight, much like GU, and we swept the last part of the chain. Structural sweep. Price came down, just kind of efficiently moved down. So zones being, that's not a zone. It is structural liquidity. Got this extreme wick area, and then this flip zone here. Price quickly removes the flip zone, so we're up to extreme. We already have order flow, so we're just looking for, we already have order flow and we already have liquidity. So all we need now is confirmation entry. Looks like we get confirmation plus we get a double confirmation. So here's the sweep, mitigate, we get this break. So entering here is confirmation entry. No, wait, let me backtrack. It's a 15-minute sweep, so we need a flip. We can't enter on just a break. So what happens is we get the reaction here, we come up, we mitigate, we get the floor, and we break here. So that's the first entry right there. Price decides to go up a little higher. It does not break the high, but it does take out this little piece here for just a little bit of extra liquidity. It's not structural. So we came up, came down, came up, came down, came up, came up. It's tough. I don't like it as structural liquidity. We come down, flip, and get the entry. And price quickly, very quickly runs the profit. And then we're moving quickly down here. So we have all these imbalances here. And when this happens and we have a little window of imbalance, I'm going to just take a whole area or go on the 1 hour and take a look there, which is this whole zone right here. Price jumps right into it. And technically we don't need liquidity because we came up and then sold off aggressively. But because it's a huge zone, I'm not going to risk it just chopping away at this, taking liquidity, and then setting up the top. So for that, I didn't get into this trade. There was no 1 minute liquidity. It sold off pretty fast, and that was Monday. So one winner on Monday. Coming into Tuesday. On Tuesday, we took out the weekly. That's a weekly break from a long, long time ago. Really don't need all these notes here. And seeing that weekly is taken out, then we're going to just be more cautious with targets, see what's happening on the 15. We want 15-minute targets. So what I mean by that is it's got to go up, build some structure. We need a 4-hour leg, and then start coming down, taking. Price just continues to sell off on the 15-minute, really not building much of any structure at all. It's coming off these last zones. So that was, Tuesday was pretty quick. Coming into Wednesday, same thing. Now if you look at this, there's really no 4-hour moves. Never a time where we had structure going up on the 15 or anything broken on the 15. So this is one of those cases where this is all, when price does turn around here, this is all IRL to be targeted. So coming into Wednesday, this is that structure I was talking about. This is what we'd like to see. We're building this structure. And then when we do turn around, we could play down. In this case, we've decided to trade up. We took out some IRL here. We held, So now we're going towards this stuff, all of this. We are still within, this is the strong high here, so structure. We do want to be cautious of that, but overnight quickly, that wasn't overnight, but mid-New York quickly takes that out. And even shorting through all of this, shorting from here, there's none of that targeting. So not much happening on this day. We get to this area, and this is not a POI. There's no chain, there's no flip, no liquidity. So this trade goes without, there's just no opportunity. So we could just move forward to Thursday. And Thursday overnight, very similar to GU, where we're targeting this stuff. Like that's on the table right now. We've had this one sell-off, a lot of imbalances, like almost every other bar is an imbalance. We're coming down, we filled a void. There's nothing left to target. And no one's in control. Supply did not take control. So looking at this, I was comfortable taking longs to, at the very least, come and clean this up, because price rarely, unless it's major news, it's rarely going to just tank without coming back for orders, because like this seller has a lot more orders. It's going to want to come back and then come down, or at least supply is going to take control, because every time, if we look back, all these chains here, these are all orders, unless it's a big news event like CPI or non-farm payrolls. You're usually going to get a pullback. I was comfortable taking this setup because it was pretty clean. We filled the void here, then we came up and we got our 1 minute liquidity. Flip zone, floor, and then I was in it here. Somewhat uncomfortable before news, a lot of news events right here, but this one paid off. And then price just went up from there for the rest of the day. And this one is also unique. Now we've reconfirmed demand and control. We have, maybe that's not holding, but this confirmed it back. And then we could go right back to targeting this. So this flip zone, which flipped from this wick over here, right there. So at the time, I'm looking at it like this. Okay, that's what I have, flip zone. If price comes back to it, I'll look to trade double confirmation out of it. We mitigate. I'm marking this off because that's structural liquidity. We get this flip zone and break, so that's our first break. And that's our floor right there. So quickly, we get a double confirmation taken care of. And we're just waiting for liquidity. Price goes up. Kind of spikes the high, but this is one long wick. So it's still this leg out from this POI. There's no new POI. We could check the 15-minute again. And if there was going to be a new POI, it would be this thing, but price never really left it. There's only a little bit above it. So I'm going to keep playing the 1 minute out of this zone. We get the liquidity sweep. We get the flip. And we get the break. So I'm ready to get in. Generally, let's cover a little bit more here. Price tags in on the wick, and doesn't really go anywhere. Maybe get 1.5 before going break even. And that pretty much was it for the day. Price reversed overnight, moving into Friday now. Now Friday, right at, let's check the 4-hour. Again, these 4-hour zones, maybe just CPBs. They're visible there, but really they shouldn't even be there. There's all that 15-minute IRL up into the more relevant zone. Right at 7:45, right before my session, we get this structural sweep and we start moving away from it. So I would be targeting towards this zone, the rest of the IRL, this little piece right before it. And because we got the 15-minute, we don't have to worry about more liquidity. We get the first break right here. We flip again, and then price just wants to come off the range, more like this. It's okay. I generally don't purely cover that. I do give it some breathing room. And then later it does take more liquidity. That's liquidity, broke this high. We get the flip zone here, break the flip zone, and then price comes right back into it and then shoots off. So that would have been a good trade on Friday, just following the power of the day. Previous day high broke right there. Nothing indicating shorts. 4-hour demand and control towards more 15-minute IRL. Price hit it. Powerful daily last point of supply. We do break the zone, but we didn't create too much above. Price does not retrace, and that was it. So definitely more active on EU this week. On Monday had one short. Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing. Thursday had a long, and then Friday had a long. Friday had 2 longs. So plenty of opportunity. And yeah, that's going to be it for the end of week, and I'll be back next week. Mr. X out.